Thank you. Officer Hyde, may you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the record?
My name is Christopher Hyde, spelled CHRISTOPHERHYDE.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed as a police officer with the Iowa Tribe Police Department.
And what state is that in?
That is in Oklahoma.
And how long have you been employed in law enforcement?
Approximately 8 years now.
Now I want to direct your attention specifically to February 14th of 2023. Were you working for the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office as a deputy on that date?
I was.
And did you respond to a homicide scene within your jurisdiction?
Yes.
Were you one of the first responders?
I was.
Were you able to determine through your investigation that the deceased individual had been shot 2 times?
That is correct.
Were you able to determine that 1 gunshot wound was to the chest and 1 gunshot wound was to the head?
Yes.
Through your investigation, were you able to determine that the defendant here in court is the individual who shot the deceased?
Yes.
Now, the person that you saw that day, do you see them in court today?
I do.
If you recognize them by something they're wearing, could you state that for the record and perhaps point to the individual?
The defendant is seated at the defense table in a gray suit jacket.
Your Honor, the record will reflect Officer Hyde has identified the defendant. And is it a fair statement that the defendant was not charged for that killing in Oklahoma by the prosecutor's office?
That is correct.
And was the defendant arrested for that?
He was.
All right, Officer Hyde, I have no further questions.
Ms. Ross?
No cross.
Is the witness released?
He is, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. May you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the record?
My name is Laura Ellis, Loraellis.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed at the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Now, did you have any basic information en route to the scene?
We were just informed that we needed to respond and call in reference to a death investigation.
When you get there, what do you see first, or who do you see first?
I made contact with Detective Peters and forensic investigator Bange.
Is Detective Peters Detective Danny Peters with the homicide division?
Correct, yes, sir.
And did he end up being the lead detective in this case?
Yes, sir.
Without telling us anything he might have said, did he kind of give you a little briefing of what was going on?
Yes, sir.
What did you do next?
We waited for a search warrant to be obtained for the property.
And after the search warrant was obtained, did that give you legal authority to then do whatever you wanted to do to process the scene effectively?
Correct.
About what time were you there that evening?
What time did I arrive on scene?
Yes.
At approximately 19:09 hours.
All right. That's 7:09 p.m.?
Yes.
Now, what was your first order of business once the search warrant was approved and you took the next step?
We started obtaining digital photographs of the scene as observed.
Were you able to see both inside the house and outside the house?
Yes.
And what type of community was it in general?
More like a senior living community. It was multiple mobile homes. So we have a crime scene detective that typically will stay with us throughout the entire time that we're on the crime scene, and they tell us what they want us to collect or what they want specific photographs of while we're on scene.
Now, how would you describe the interior of the house? Not the actual where Kathy laid, but the rest of the house. How was it?
Very well maintained, very clean, very organized.
Now, the island, the bar, the island there, is the victim on the other side of that.
Yes.
Did you see a knife at the scene?
Yes.
And is that knife visible in that photograph?
Yes.
This is State Exhibit 19. Is that a closer up of what appears to be a bloody knife?
Yes.
Now, does the knife, and in a moment you'll have an opportunity to show the jury the knife, but does the knife look different today as opposed to when it's in the picture there?
Yes.
And why is that?
May I refer to my report?
Yes, ma'am.
On Wednesday, January 22nd, Detective Peters placed the knife into a temporary evidence locker in the Forensic Investigations Office for me to process for possible latent prints.
And when you process an item for latent prints, describe to the jury what's the process and what does that mean?
So, in this case in particular, I took a chemical agent called Sudan Black, which helps us see latent prints that may possibly be in blood.
And what are latent prints?
Latent prints are fingerprints that are left behind from the oils on your hands.
25. What begins to be visible in State Exhibit 25?
The victim.
Now, on the left side of the photograph, is that some of the sliding glass door blinds?
Yes.
So is it a fair statement her head seems to be fairly close to that area?
Yes.
Above her head on the floor, what is that picture?
It's a brown hearse backpack.
27. Now in 27, what's the white thing and the gray thing by her head?
So the white thing is a towel, and the gray thing is a shirt.
Is the neck or the stab wound visible a little bit there?
Yes.
It's on the right side of her neck, is that correct?
Yes.
28. As we get closer to the purse/backpack you described, was blood clearly visible all over it?
Yes.
And that surface area, is that kind of what, if somebody put it on their back, that would be touching their back?
Yes.
38. Is that the neck wound?
Yes.
39. 40. 41. Tell the jury about why do you put a ruler up next to the neck wound?
It shows length and width of the injuries on the victim's body.
And is that wound basically wide open?
Yes.